Both the US and Iran say they've agreed to a 2-week ceasefire. As I've been
Breaking news, they've announced a pause, a ceasefire, but something isn't right. Something isn't really adding up. What's coming next? Is this really a ceasefire? Although it feels like a trap. Let's dive in. They are calling it a ceasefire. Iran says they've won. The US says it's progress. But what if it isn't peace at all? What if this is just a strategic pause before something much bigger?
Both the US and Iran say they've agreed to a 2-week ceasefire. As I've been saying, just to reiterate that, US President Donald Trump said he is suspending his latest deadline for Iran to strike a deal or face US military escalation. The president wrote on Truth Social that after a conversation with the Pakistani Prime Minister, who proposed the deal subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. Iranian state media claims the US has agreed to their 10-point peace plan that includes complete and permanent end to the war, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, compensation and reconstruction payments to Iran, full commitment to lifting of sanctions on Iran. Iran fully commits to not seeking possession of any nuclear weapons.
On the face of it, it looks like a positive move. But the question is, when will Iran learn? Can you trust the United States? Not once, but twice, attacked while negotiations were happening. Deals on the table, bombs in the air. And now suddenly we're told there is a ceasefire. Iran is celebrating in the streets, calling it victory. But after everything that happened, is this really peace or just a strategic pause before the next strike?
Our hands are firmly on the trigger, and the very moment that the enemy makes even the slightest misstep or error, it will be met with our full and complete power and a decisive response.
Just achieved a truly significant and quite monumental victory.
And force the criminal United States to accept its own 10-point plan in which America fundamentally committed to non-aggression, the continuation of Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz, and the acceptance of uranium enrichment,
The complete lifting of all primary and secondary sanctions, termination of all resolutions by the Security Council and the Board of Governors, payment of damages and reparation to Iran, and the withdrawal of American combat forces from the region, and a cessation of hostilities on all fronts, including against the heroic Islamic resistance in Lebanon, must be brought about. It is emphasized that this does not signify the war's conclusion, and Iran will only accept the end of the war when, considering the acceptance of the core principles that Iran deems necessary and has put forth in the 10-article proposal, its comprehensive details should also be definitively finalized during the concluding round of negotiations.
Congratulations, you've reached this far into the video. It means that you have a good attention span. So if you could please like this video and subscribe to the channel, because this is the only way you can support independent journalism to bring you breaking news and stories as they break, so you'll be up to date, and click the notification bell so you'll be the first to know. Iran is maintaining that their fingers are on the trigger, and it suggests that they cannot trust the United States, and that the United States would have to accept their proposal, and that should include Lebanon as well. But how does the Israel feel about this? Did they accept this ceasefire? Are they happy to cease also on the Lebanon front?
Now, Israel says it does support the ceasefire, but it does not say that it includes Lebanon. Let's speak to Daniel De Simone, who's in Jerusalem. What's Israel saying, Daniel, about this?
There's been a statement this morning from the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Its tone is notably less triumphal than the statements we've seen from President Trump and from Iran. It notes only that this ceasefire was a decision taken by President Trump and that it supports his efforts. The leader of the opposition here in Israel is calling this the biggest disaster, political disaster in Israeli political history, and he's saying that Israel wasn't even at the table when this decision was being taken. In truth, you look back at the objectives that were set by Prime Minister Netanyahu at the start of this war on the 28th of February. He was speaking about removing the threat from the Ayatollah regime. There was talk of regime change and of this operation going on as long as necessary. The Iranian regime is still there despite various leaders being killed, including the supreme leader, and the military is still fighting. And we even saw missiles fired into Israel from Iran overnight, including here in Jerusalem. We had sirens and explosions. So the Iranian regime is still there, and I think this is not going to be seen well in Israel, the way that Prime Minister Netanyahu has handled it. And there is this key dispute now about whether the ceasefire deal includes Lebanon. Iran and the Pakistani Prime Minister who helped negotiate the deal saying it does. Israel saying it doesn't. That is
So Lebanon remains a sticking plaster. We would love to see how is that going to be resolved. But just a few days ago, tensions are at breaking point. Strikes, counter-strikes, threats flying back and forth. We've been told now that this is a ceasefire, a step towards peace, a breakthrough. But look at the timing. A few days ago, Iran struck United States F-35 and F-15 planes. And many are saying that there's been a strategic improvement on Iran air defenses. Particularly, reports are that S-300, 400 and 500 have been supplied to Iran by Russia. And this will calculatively change the strategic outlook in Iran's defense. The United States continuously say that they've got free reign over Iranian skies, including Israel. Now, is that the case given what Iran has just done? Is this the turning point in that result in this ceasefire? Is this the turning point where that the games are changing and Iran can now strike the United States over their airspace, and that may have triggered a force hand of Donald Trump for a ceasefire? Of course, Donald Trump threatened to blow up Iran's power plant facilities, and that was also a dangerous move that could have crippled Iran, and this could result in war crimes. While we over on this side would love this to be lasting peace, the question is it? Because while Iran is out in the streets celebrating, waving flags, declaring victory, you have to ask a simple question. Victory over what? Nothing has actually been resolved. And that's where it gets interesting. Because in modern conflict, a ceasefire isn't always about ending a war. Sometimes it's about pausing it. Time to regroup. Time to reposition. Time to rearm. And if history has shown anything, is that pauses like this don't happen by accident. So the real question isn't whether this is peace. The real question is who benefits from this pause. It is over to you to hear your views. Do you believe that this is a real and lasting peace and this is the end of the war? Or do you think this is strategic? The United States are buying time to rearm and defend Israel because recently Iran said that they were free in attacking certain areas of Israel, meaning that interceptors are on the low, and America is buying time to rearm, to protect, and perhaps come in with a bigger and more destructive wave against Iran. Sound off in the comment section. We'd love to hear your views on this issue. So I'd like to thank you very much for your time, and I shall see you on the other topic.